Oh my gosh, hi guys. I hope you're having a good day. These are the videos that I promised you to help you with your lesson that you're going to do today while I'm not there, right? Remember, I'm not there. I know it's hard for you to deal with this because you miss me so much, but you'll make it through. I promise you, and we'll see each other tomorrow. All right, so yesterday, or actually today, because I'm making the videos today and I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but you know what I'm talking about. We talked about how we could use sine, cosine, and tangent to find missing sides of triangles when we were only given one side and one angle, right? So there's going to be a little bit of that today, but there's also going to be some of the old school Pythagorean theorem that we've been dealing with, because in our very first example where we're trying to find the unknown measures, and here's the thing, we have to remember there are 3 angles and 3 sides in a triangle, right? And so we have angle S, we have angle R, and we have angle T. Now we currently have, and I'm going to undo that because I don't want to really draw attention to them too much. We currently have angle S. Angle S is a 90-degree angle. You can see it because we've got the little red box, which I've now just made blue. You know that angle measure. The other 2 measures of the angles of angle R and angle T, we don't know. Now officially, of course, I should have an M in front of there and an M in front of there because it says measure of angle. Okay. We have 3 sides. We have SR, we have TR, and we are going to be looking for ST. Okay, so that will be the length of ST that we're looking for. You will always have, so you've got 3 angles, you've got 3 sides, so you've got 6 different things in a triangle, 6 different objects in a triangle. You will always have 3 of those objects. Okay. Now, if you take a look at this, you have SR and you have ST. You have those 2 lengths. You have 2 sides of a triangle in a right triangle. If you have 2 sides and you want the third one, you can use Pythagorean theorem. So for the first problem that we're going to do, because these are all kind of like, you do kind of mini problems for all of this. For these problems, what you're going to do is Pythagorean theorem to start with, because I'm looking for ST. I'm going to call it an X just because that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to say that 5 squared plus X squared equals 5.7 squared. Okay, so just use Pythagorean theorem, and that's where some of you are going to you're going to get stuck on the trig part, and you're going to forget about that nice little theorem that we can use. So when we do that, we get 25, right, plus x squared equals 32.49. Subtract 25 from both sides. We'll get x squared equals 7.49. And all you have to do then is take the square root of that 7.49. 7.49 square root. I'm doing this I'm doing this as we're doing this. I haven't done any of this out to begin with. All right, so when we do the square root of 7.49, that x is a 2.736786437. That's what you should have on your calculators. We are rounding our lengths to the nearest hundredth. So we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. When we round to the nearest hundredth, our x equals a 2.74. We don't have any units, so we don't have to worry about it. So we found ST. It is 2.74. Now we need to find the 2 angle measures. All right, here's where it kind of comes back into the trigonometry part of it. And we have to think, like yesterday, we thought SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. You started out with these types of problems where you had a number at one, you had like a measure at either, angle T or angle R, you would have had a measure, and that's where we went, we put our little star, and that's where we said we sat at that angle. You don't have that this time, so you get to pick whichever angle you want to solve for first. So if you happen to like the letter T over the letter R, then you're going to sit at angle T. If you happen to like R better than T, then you're going to sit there. I'm just going to sit. It doesn't matter. So let's say I'm sitting at angle R. Now I need to ask myself 2 questions. What do I have and what am I looking for? I'm looking for that angle. I don't know what that is. But I do have 2 sides. I have this side right here, this 5. And remember, if the side is touching that angle and it's not across from the 90 degrees, that is our adjacent side. Okay? And then we also have this 5.7 right here, and that is across from our 90 degrees, and that is our hypotenuse. So I have the adjacent and the hypotenuse. We have to think about this. The adjacent and the hypotenuse, so SOHCAHTOA, cosine goes with adjacent and hypotenuse. So I am going to use cosine. So I am going to, just like we did yesterday when I was in class with us, with everybody and we were doing these problems together, it's the same idea. So we are going to write the cosine of which angle am I sitting at? Well, I'm sitting at angle R equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And we're going to treat it very much like we did yesterday. We almost treat it like a formula and we plug in what we know. You do not know angle R. You don't know angle R, so you're going to leave it alone. You're just going to leave, and because it's already a letter, you're not going to fill in an X or a Y or anything like that, because it's pretty much already a letter, so you don't have to worry about it. So cosine of R equals, you do know the adjacent side. That adjacent side is 5, and the hypotenuse is a 5.7. Now this looks very different than it did the first day, right? Because the first day we had a number here, and then we had a variable. We put our x, we either put it up in the top or we put it down in the bottom, but the variable was on the right side of our equation. This time our variable is on the left side of the equation, and it's okay. This is what happens. Okay? When you have your variable on the left side, basically what's going to happen is this variable and this fraction are basically going to, I said basically like 47 times already. I'm sorry if you're keeping count. These two things you're going to swap them. So all you're going to do is you're going to rewrite cosine, and instead of writing the R right there, you're actually going to write your fraction. So you're going to write 5 over 5.7. I'll leave it all red right there. Okay? And you can just write your fraction right there, and that equals the R. Those two items just switched places. Please note that it's just the letter and the fraction. Those two things just switch places. Now what I do is, like when we do this, I kind of call it a moving fee. And when you have a moving fee, you have to pay $1. Like if you ever move, if you have ever rented a U-Haul or you've ever paid movers to move, it costs money to help move. So, to have somebody help you move. So what we do is we think this is the cheapest moving fee ever. It takes $1. Okay, so notice I put that dollar right there, that -1 right there. Now I want you to go to your calculators, and I want you to look at your sine, your cosine, and your tangent buttons. And if you look right above them, you have sine to the -1, cosine to the -1, and tangent to the -1. So what you're going to do now, instead of just hitting the normal cosine and then punching in some numbers and hitting enter, you're actually going to hit your second button, so your yellow button. So you hit that second button, and then you hit the cosine button. Oops, sorry. Give me a sec. There you go. You do second and then cosine. I had pressed the second too many times. So you hit second and then cosine, and if you notice on your screen, and it's so funny because I'm looking at this this calculator screen like you guys can see it, but you can't. So on your calculator screen, you should have COS to the -1 and then a parentheses, and then you should still have your blinker. Okay? Then you just type 5 divided by 5.7 and then hit enter. And you should get 28.69. That is the measure of angle R. Angle R, okay, the measure of angle R is going to be 28.69. And remember, we wanted to round our angles. Let me scroll up a little bit. Angle measures to the nearest degree. So instead of writing 28.69, measure of angle R is going to be 29 degrees. Okay, so you still set up your cosine and sine or tangent or whichever one you're using. You still set up that original equation or formula, if you want to think of it that way, and you plug in what you know. And then the only thing that's really different this time is, and I'm going to highlight it, the only thing that's really different this time is this section right here. When you plug things in, remember you're only going to have numbers on the right side, and that causes you to have to, like, your entire fraction on the right and your letter for your angle on the left have to swap places. They're going to swap places, right? Okay, it looks like a smiley face. So they're going to swap places, and then when you go to enter it in your calculator, you definitely have to remember hit the second button so you get your cosine to -1. It's called the inverse cosine. Okay, when you do that, you've got 29 degrees, so we can go fill in measure of angle R is 29 degrees. Now from here on out, measure of angle T, that's really simple and straightforward. You're just going to do 180 degrees minus your 90 degrees that you already have, right? And then you're going to subtract the 29 degrees that you just found. So that's how you get the measure of angle T, and when you do that, you get 61 degrees. All right? So there is one of those problems. I'm going to go make another video or two for you. I'm also going to post these online, so if you want to see all of this, here's the full screen of it, but if you want to see the entire thing, go to the website and bring up the PDF file. Okay?